Welcome to Ruining History. This week we're talking about Corporal Wojtek, a Polish war hero.
What was his first name?
You shouldn't be asking questions like this so early in the episode.
Isn't that what the intro is for, so we can get context?
Yeah, but this is a mystery. It's a mystery. Have any of you heard of him at all?
I couldn't even place the era that he would exist in.
His name sounds very modern. It sounds like a startup.
Wojtek, protect your loans.
Early 1944, the port of Naples. In the thralls of the Second World War, British courier Archibald Brown was processing a newly arrived ship of Polish soldiers. They had arrived at the port from Egypt and were set to join Allied British forces in combat against the Germans and Italians. As Archibald Brown processed the soldiers of Poland's 22nd Artillery Supply Company, he accounted for every last name on the roster save for one, Corporal Wojtek. Brown called for him by name and received no answer. One soldier stated, well, he only understands Polish and Persian.
Oh, he's a spy.
Think he's a spy?
Yeah, why would you know Polish and Persian in 1940s Poland? I don't know, it seems suspicious. I'm just gonna say,
Even if you don't know a language, if you hear your name, you're gonna turn around.
as a guy with a silent J,
Yeah.
I've heard a lot of versions of my name when people have tried to call roster.
So you think maybe they were mispronouncing it?
Yeah,
Yeah.
totally.
But you would still have those in your head, though.
Is it an Italian guy calling the roster?
It's a British courier.
Oh, British.
No
forget
way.
about
probably
it.
They
gonna
could
butcher that,
pronounce his
yeah.
name.
Corporal Wojtek.
It would seem that the soldiers knew more than they were letting on, but it's unlikely that Archibald Brown could conceive the true nature of Corporal Wojtek. Corporal Wojtek, raised in the mountains with a penchant for arm wrestling, booze, and cigarettes. Corporal Wojtek, who was known to pick new recruits up by their feet. Corporal Wojtek, the very sight of whom had been known to send enemies fleeing.
I don't think the image of a single soldier could actually scare people into surrendering. I don't buy it.
What the fuck?
Now this is getting really suspicious.
It was then that Brown was shown Corporal Wojtek. He was 6 feet tall and he weighed 485 pounds. And he was in a cage on account of the fact that he was an actual bear. He's a bear. This is a story about a bear.
Oh,
You trickster! You tricked
He's
us!
just a big
an
bear.
actual bear.
He was a brown bear.
As you know, bears are the deadliest animal on Earth, and if you give a bear a gun, that's double, if not triple trouble.
So he doesn't have a first name because he is a bear.
Because he's a bear. That's why I was so angry that you guys were asking that question right from the start.
Exactly how a military unit enlists a bear probably needs some explaining. So let's backtrack to April of 1942 when the 22nd Artillery Supply Company of the Polish Army were making their way through the Iranian mountains on a lengthy trek from the Soviet Union to the Middle East where they were meant to ally with British forces. These soldiers were previously prisoners of war and had only recently been released from Siberian gulags when the Allied powers had successfully brokered their freedom.
So these guys were escaping Russia to go join the fight with the Allies. They were in prison and going through the Siberian mountains. Some mountains.
Iranian.
Iranian mountains. What's that?
They went down instead of.
Is your knowledge of geography that vast that you actually are picturing the terrain in your brain right now?
Yes.
Taking a break from their presumably grueling journey, Lance Corporal Peter Prentice and his soldiers had stopped at a roadside when they were approached by a young boy carrying a sack. The child appeared to be starving, and the soldiers offered him some meat. Once the boy was fed, he became more at ease with the soldiers, who had noticed that the sack around the boy's neck seemed to be moving. According to author Eileen Orr, who founded the Wojtek Memorial Trust, quote, to the men's immense surprise, when they cautiously loosened the bag's ties, the small black snout of a bear cub pushed out. He was a scrawny, unkempt little thing, obviously not properly fed.
Like Paddington.
Stop shoehorning Paddington. Look, I love that funny little Paddington bear.
This story's irresponsible, by the way.
Why is that?
Because it's painting bears in a positive light, and they're dangerous animals.
How small could that bear have been?
Must have been just a little guy.
Yeah.
It would be revealed to the men that the boy had found the cub abandoned in a cave after its mother had presumably been killed by hunters. Likely knowing the boy would part with the bear for a price, but having little to no money to their name, the men gathered what they could. According to Eileen Orr, a chocolate bar, a Swiss Army knife, and a tin of corned beef, among other goods, and they made an offer. The boy accepted, and the men of the 22nd Artillery now had a pet bear. They named him Wojtek, Polish for smiling warrior.
So you just leave the boy in the woods?
The boy is fine. He's got a village.
How do you know that? Did you interview him?
No, I didn't.
He was probably a
boy.
swindler. He probably had a whole barn full of bears.
Of starving, a barn full of starving
What is
bears.
this slander on this poor boy here? What is going on?
Waiting for the next regiment to march through and get another chocolate. He's probably got a fridge full of chocolate
They
bars.
love these starving bears.
You're blinded by your love for this weird bear.
It's the old bear trick.
By Orr's telling, Lance Corporal Peter Prentice and his men didn't do a great job of hiding their new compatriot from senior officers. In one account, after being spooked by birds circling overhead, Wojtek ran directly into a sergeant during morning inspection. And though the men might have been understandably concerned, the officer was allegedly won over by the cub in a heartbeat. Because of course.
Isn't that cute?
Yeah.
That's not bad.
Spooked by birds.
Yeah.
What a dream.
He's gonna be a real dream when he starts ripping out people's spines from their back.
And when Major Chelminsky, an even higher ranking officer, discovered Wojtek, Orr states that, quote, he was very taken with the little chap, and for several weeks even let him sleep overnight in his tent in a portable wash basin. Major Chelminsky realized the bear cub was an extremely valuable asset. More than just a military mascot, around Wojtek, the men's morale was sky high.
Adorable.
This is working though. The little sleeping in a little wash basin.
Oh, an adorable sight.
Yeah.
It's great.
Very
You ever
good.
seen a cat sleep in a sink?
No.
Oh, yes.
Is it good?
It's
Like
very
a little
good.
cinnamon roll.
I am not coming over to your apartment anymore if you get a bear. That's
Yeah,
probably
yes.
that's a good loss for you to take there. And
Let's get a
then it'll
bear.
eat you in your sleep.
The soldiers raised Wojtek as best they could, nursing the cub with milk in an old vodka bottle. Lance Corporal Peter Prentice, in particular, seems to have taken on the biggest role in caring for Wojtek. It was Peter's bed that the young cub would sneak into late at night for comfort. And Prentice would allegedly even button his army coat around the little bear to protect them both from the cold. This is too adorable.
Are there artists interpretations of this?
There's photos of him.
Oh, there are.
Wait, let's get my. I need to get my peepers on this bear. Where?
Here's a photo of the bear you can look at.
Oh. Oh God.
What does that react? I have no idea what that
That was
reaction is.
it's overwhelmingly cute.
It's the cutest bear I've ever seen in my life.
Look at him just sitting flat on the ground.
I do love the way it sits.
As he grew, the bear became accustomed to the routine life of a soldier. It was said that he would rise most mornings, leave the Lance Corporal's tent, and amble around a bit before heading to the cookhouse, where he'd scrounge up some cereal, milk, marmalade, whatever was available.
Are you kidding
Marmalade!
me?
Yes!
No, he didn't eat marmalade.
There it is!
He did. Maybe there's some truth to the Paddington legend.
I love that fucking bear.
His day might be spent running around, chasing after oranges that the soldiers used for grenade practice. He was even known to box and wrestle with the soldiers. According to Orr, quote, groups of soldiers would try to rush him and knock him over. Roaring with delight, Wojtek would take on all comers, batting them around like Skittles.
Now we're seeing some first signs of trouble here.
Now you're getting concerned?
I'm just saying there's no play fighting with a bear because a bear likely doesn't know its own strength. It's not going to be like, let me pull my punch here because I don't want to knock this guy's head
I think
off.
animals
think they
do
do.
that.
You think so?
Because
Yeah.
they play with each other.
What about that video of that person who raised a lion and then they
he comes
they
back in the
reunite
wild,
with them
yeah.
and the lion give
Yeah.
a big hug?
Every time I watch that video, there is a sick part of me that just wants the lion to just chomp that guy's head off. And everyone's like, oh shit! Camera goes down to the grass.
What were we thinking? Of course.
As you might expect, having a bear around wasn't all fun and games. Wojtek got into his fair share of trouble. He was known to enjoy cigarettes, for instance, lit cigarettes, specifically for eating, not smoking. The bear loved to eat lit cigarettes. In fact, it was said he could tell the difference between a lit and unlit cigarette, reportedly spitting out the unlit ones.
He's got a refined palate.
He's
this
got a
bear.
refined gentleman's palate.
It's like Flamin' Hot Cheetos for a bear.
In one instance, after joining his Polish comrades for their Christmas Eve celebrations and possibly indulging in too much wine, the bear snuck into the storehouse late at night and feasted upon anything he could find, leaving the men to clean up his mess in the morning. What a naughty bear. He also learned not only how to break into the showers, but also how to turn them on, which occasionally resulted in water shortages. But despite being a nuisance, this would actually work to the unit's advantage. In June of 1943, Wojtek once again broke into the showers and happened upon an Arab spy who had been hiding out in their camp on a reconnaissance mission for an impending raid. The spy was fittingly terrified and quickly surrendered the identities of his party, effectively stopping the raid. As a reward for his valiant efforts, Wojtek was given sweetmeats and beer and allowed to take an extended shower.
I think we undervalue the reward appeal of a nice long hot shower.
Yeah.
I was actually about to say, I think he deserves a little bit more than that.
Maybe a conjugal visit from a lady bear.
Jesus Christ.
Good Lord.
Unless Sweetmeats was the name of his.
The female bear. That's kind of what I was thinking too.
You done good, Wojciech.
Here's Sweetmeats. I'll light your cigarette for you.
Wojtek's love of aquatics wasn't limited to bath time either. One account states that when the company was driving along Italy's coast, Wojtek, spotting the sea, leapt out of the vehicle and started bounding toward the beach, where some Italian girls happened to be bathing. They presumably thought they were about to die, but a soldier from the company yelled to them, quote, "Girls, don't be afraid. This bear is good."
This story keeps getting better and better. Driving down the Amalfi Coast,
Bear's got sunglasses on.
scarf blowing in the wind on the bear.
He's got a button-up shirt, but it's like open halfway.
I'll tell you one thing. If I'm on the beach and a car full of soldiers yells, "Don't worry, he's a good bear," I'd be like, "Hey, buddy, fuck you." I'd piss myself immediately. And then once I got over that, I'd start running away. And it's hard to run in sand, so I'd probably fall, and then I'd probably end up just crying and praying.
Yeah, that sounds right.
Wait a second. Oh, God, is this just their shtick? Like when a guy takes a pretty dog to the dog park and goes, "Oh, I'm sorry.
A pretty dog.
I couldn't get a hold of him.
Pretty dog.
By the way, my name's Larry."
Have you seen my pretty dog?
You know what
My
I mean.
name's
You know,
Larry.
When guys use like little puppies as a shtick to pick up women.
Yeah.
I think that's
maybe that's what they're doing here.
I think it's an unintended benefit for sure.
They're probably not saying, "Look at my pretty bear."
Look at my pretty bear.
Surprisingly, Wojtek wasn't the only bear fraternizing with the Polish army. I know, crazy times. There was actually an infantry battalion that had allegedly received a bear as a gift from the Shah of Iran. His name was Michal, and he was not like Wojtek. Michal was known for his vicious temperament, and it was on full display when he met Wojtek in September of 1943 while the unit was stationed in Iraq. Or writes of the encounter, quote, "As he approached Wojtek, Michal went into a berserker rage. Within seconds, the animals were enveloping each other in deadly bear hugs, slashing out with terrifying claws, and each trying to rip out the other's throat with his fangs." When the dust settled, Wojtek remained victorious, nearly snapping Michal's neck. Holy shit!
Deadly bear hugs. Does sound pretty cute though.
Yeah. It sounds cute, but it's not.
Until it's crushing your exoskeleton.
Exoskeleton.
Yeah, I was
about
gonna
to
say, do you think
I don't-
bears
we
have
don't-
exoskeletons?
No, I was about to say, I just realized we don't have exoskeletons. I meant just skeleton. I'm surprised he won that fight because you would think a bear that's spending his time finding oranges, taking showers, drinking beer, being a cute little bear, he would get his ass kicked.
But also, they're feeding him, sweetmeats, beer, oranges. This bear's big.
So that's the
this bear's
breakfast of
getting
champions?
big.
No, this is just a fat bear.
Bear is thick.
Michal's unit attempted to hand the bear off to the 22nd, but considering the bad blood between the two bears, Wojtek's friends thought it best to find a home for Michal at the Tel Aviv Zoo. The owner of the zoo responded in kind by giving them a small monkey as a gift.
Come on, take a monkey.
The 1940s is like Pokemon.
They had so many animals and they didn't really know what to do with them yet.
You just trade them, you battle them,
Yeah.
you do cute stuff with them.
I mean, who wouldn't be stoked to get a monkey?
I just imagine the monkey going around like playing with the guns. Like,
Yeah.
put that down!
Despite being a 500-pound pet, Wojtek did earn an actual military title. En route from Naples to Egypt, port officials allegedly denied the bear passage, allowing only soldiers to board the ship. His company, thinking fast, issued him a service number, rank, and paybook, and Private Wojtek was cleared for travel. And, in addition to providing all-around moral support to the beleaguered soldiers, Wojtek did, in fact, assist them in combat.
Annie, are you expecting this bear to kill people? You seemed like you were waiting for it.
I feel like it's a wild animal. It can turn on you.
Yeah.
It's just animal nature, right?
Yeah.
That's what I'm thinking.
Yeah. This bear's too good. It must be a human.
It must be. It must be a human in a costume.
That would be the best long con if it was like actually a spy inside of a bear suit.
Holy shit!
Oh, wow.
The ultimate Trojan horse.
And he wasn't really eating the lit cigarettes, he was just like inside.
You're just putting him in his bear costume so he can smoke them.
You're a goddamn genius.
I know.
When the 22nd found themselves involved in the Battle of Monte Cassino, Wojtek was right there with them. With the Allies under fire and requiring supplies and artillery, the bear went right to work. According to Orr, quote, although Wojtek had never been trained to handle the unloading of 100-pound boxes of 25-pounder shells, the fuses, and other supplies, he simply observed what the men were doing and joined in. Standing upright, he held out his front paws into which men loaded the heavy boxes of shells. Effortlessly, he carried the munitions to their storage areas beside the artillery positions and returned to the lorries to collect more. One of the bear's caretakers backs up this story, claiming that Wojtek often did carry munitions, but that, quote, usually he was a lazy thing and looked for the empty boxes to carry. At Casino, he carried the full ones.
Oh, Wojtek.
Even when he's being heroic, we still got a fun fact about him being a little rascal.
I love him.
I mean, that's gonna take the edge off the battle a little bit.
Yeah.
Sure, you're rushing to shoot things and blow stuff up. Cute bear comes over with an empty box. You're just, come on, Wojtek.
Get out of here.
The Allies would come out victorious in the hard-fought battle, and it was estimated that Wojtek's company supplied approximately 17,300 tons of ammunition, 1,200 tons of fuel, and 1,100 tons of food for Polish and British troops, according to Orr. In the aftermath of the battle, the company adopted a new emblem, Wojtek carrying a shell. After his time in battle, Wojtek's service was rewarded with a peaceful retirement. For a short while, he resided on a farm in a Scottish village, where he was known to attend community dances and was a guest at local children's parties.
I love him.
Wow.
Holy shit.
Wow.
That is so quaint. I wonder if they just let him loose around the children.
I don't know. Probably. He seemed chill around people.
Was there anybody there at the dance that didn't know him and was just like looking over, I'm gonna go get some punch, and they look and fucking bear standing right there like, oh, holy shit!
In 1947, Wojtek was given a home at the Edinburgh Zoo, where he was often visited by his fellow soldiers. One soldier recalls visiting his comrade, quote, as soon as I mentioned his name, he would sit on his backside and shake his head, wanting a cigarette. Many years later, in 1963, at the ripe old age of 22, Wojtek passed away, partially due to issues with his esophagus. He did, after all, have a habit of swallowing cigarettes. Oh, that bear sure did love his cigarettes.
What a shock.
I guess if you swallow lit cigarettes, the fact that you live to close to your expectancy is, not bad. He went out doing what he loved.
You could say that, yeah.
Swallowing lit cigarettes.
Wojtek seems to have earned himself a special place in the heart of the Polish people. In November of 2011, his memory was celebrated with a parade. And if this country's love of this booze and smoke and war bear seems at all comical, consider this quote from Dr. Tomasz Trafas. The most significant fact in the whole story of Wojtek the bear was that he was adopted by people who were also orphans in some way. They lost their families, their homes, and their country, and there was no chance of returning to it. They didn't have anything or anyone to return to. The bear and the soldiers bonded because he had been abandoned, and that sentiment is echoed by one of Wojtek's comrades. Quote, in times of great suffering, not just our terrible experiences in the USSR, but also fear of the horrors of what was happening to our families back in Poland, where did they live? Would we see them again? Wojtek the bear provided us with joy, comfort, and boosted our morale. Why? I don't know. But he was real. He really helped us.
I'm gonna cry.
I know, it's making me
It's
sad.
very touching.
He is
was
Paddington.
real.
He's Paddington.
I almost choked up when I was reading.
I was getting choked up too. It reminded me I have a heart.
We could pass it around, give him little hugs. Give him a little hug, Ryan.
No, because then tears will fall out.
What do you think of this bear overall? Final thoughts.
Oh, I love him.
I feel like a lot of times we take animals for granted. So I like that we showed that something that is traditionally thought of as violent can be really sweet and nice, and it just depends on like the environment that it's in. So obviously I don't think we should take bears out of the wild and put them in our homes.
Okay.
But
Possibly one of the greatest animals to ever have lived.
And Ryan, the man who hates bears more than anyone else I know.
Here's the thing. I think this bear is perhaps the sweetest, most amazing animal to ever live. That being said, I would like to issue a disclaimer. If you go into the woods and you go, hey Wojtek, you try to give a bear a big old bear hug, you're gonna die. That's the facts right there. Bears, as a general rule of thumb, very dangerous, furry tanks, killing machines. This guy, he's an exception to the rule. His DNA was written different than most bears. Him and Paddington.
How's the cigarette staying so readily in there?
I cut a hole in his mouth.
Jesus.
And that is the story of Wojtek the bear. I don't know about you guys, but I got genuinely emotional there at the end, which I did not expect, considering most weeks this show is just, ooh, Ben Franklin really liked to crank it in a cave. That's been Ruining History. Thank you for learning with us.